everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I know, we are a bit late, but you know what? We're back again, so don't worry. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. You already know what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be liking and sharing the video with friends. And today I have my good friend also that I just met in recent months. I have Titi with me. Titi, welcome to the channel. I'm also I'm so grateful that you're here, but I'm feeling a bit nervous today. I don't know why, dude. Why are you making me feel nervous? Guys, this guy's making me feel nervous. I don't know.
You know, I'm realizing that I feel like I should be more more professional. So let me go back from what I do to greetings, comrade.
Okay, yeah, maybe let's just make it a bit more, professional.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that you came actually to join me today, just for us to have conversations, obviously, about politics, since we are like political majors, and you know, we're very interested in politics, and we're both obviously part of the DSCC.
Yeah.
And you know, we're just involved with like student politics, so I just thought it would be a great idea for us to actually have a conversation. So welcome, dude, to my channel. Do you want to tell the people who you are? Like, what do you do? Who is TT?
All right. I don't know if my background should like include
Everything,
varsity or
everything.
growing up. Okay.
Take us back. Okay, not growing up, obviously, but like, just take us back. You know.
My name is TT. Went to school in Edgevos, did my undergrad there, doing my postgrad here in UJ now. The journey is one which is it's an up and down journey.
Yeah.
Especially, and I know I say this, and I don't want to sound like I'm making myself sound old, but going back to school after like 2 years being off, and like
it's so different, right?
It's different.
And I think that's why we relate, because I feel like my gap year was like longer than yours, but the fact that like you know what it was, like 5 years, bro. I'm like you know, don't make me feel old and stuff, but you know, we've been off school, but it's been like a journey, né?
It's I feel like I can take the lessons that I took of the 2 years and apply them now, especially in terms of studying better, applying the knowledge better, knowing what my next step is gonna be after school, because I feel like that's one thing I feel like people always like or tell us is that finish school and graduate, everything's gonna work out. It doesn't work out.
It doesn't work out like that. Not that like you going to school and graduating doesn't work out, but normally it usually doesn't work out like that, you know. And I feel like that's the reason also I came back to school. You know, if you watched my previous video, you'd understand, because I spoke lengthy about that. But it was just for me realizing that, oh my god, I need to really be like more structured in terms of my career, in terms of where I want to take my career.
I feel like you need to have different fingers you should have like a main line, a mainstream thing, but don't solely depend on that. Have fingers in different departments. Maybe even like you said, for us, let me say, since we're doing politics, our major can be in politics, but at the same, I feel like this is where tenders come in, things go wrong. But have a finger or a pulse in maybe your catering business or design or something like that. Because one thing I've realized is the majority of the friends that I went to school with currently they're not working in the sector that they studied for. And it's you find someone who did digital marketing, but they're in finance. You find someone who did IT, but they're in politics.
It's
a vice versa.
It's vice versa. But I feel like it's more of a thing where you just need to apply yourself. You know what I'm saying? Just like for you to find your interest, because also with me, the same thing really happened, you know? I don't know if that makes sense.
For me, I don't think it's applying yourself. I think my older sister always says to me that opportunities come to those who are on the dance floor. If you put yourself out there, if you put yourself in different environments, you're gonna one day. I call it inspiration. One day you find yourself me talking to you, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm getting inspired, and then somewhere the lines, things are come together, and you're like, I bet. But if I was sleeping at home, I was not doing anything, you wouldn't have found that thing that would make you. I'm talking about.
But what I understand what you're saying, because it's like the same thing where when I was doing my undergrad, I was very lazy. I don't want to lie, I was very lazy, and I was like not like lazy in academics, but like I didn't want to get involved in anything. You know, I always felt like like I shouldn't be doing that. Like it's none of my business. I'm just here to get my degree. But now that I'm back second round, I'm like no, I need to do things differently, because I understand the importance of actually having all of these extra things that you're doing.
Most definitely, because also there's like a thing with the DSCC. community, like I'm realizing now that networking is a very big thing.
It
in,
is.
in undergrad. I don't think
They emphasize
that, and it's one thing I'm looking back now is the people that you meet at parties. If you're strategic about it, yeah, and you'll be fine, and you align yourself with people who are like, okay, no, fine. Pay attention to how people talking. Pay attention to how they view things. It might not be in the correct setting, but how someone explores a topic. It might be family-wise, it might be gender-based, it might be whatever. I feel like then we'll kind of give you an indication of how they're gonna think in the future. Because we all have to have a foundation. Something it can evolve, it can digress, but hey, man, I feel like networking in undergrad is very, very key and important, especially for those who go to the private ones.
Yeah.
I don't know. I went to private. I was very limited into the people that I was exposed to. So now that I'm in public university, I'm realizing that people's thinking is very different.
It's very different, yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, let's just move on, because if we're gonna have this conversation, we're just gonna keep on talking, because there's so much for us to talk about in terms of that. It's very important to network. It's very important to speak to people, and just put yourself out there. And I feel like if you're young and you're listening to this and you're in your first year, second year, third year, make sure that you put yourself out there so that people know about you, So, but let's get on with the business of the day. I like saying this. Let's get on with the business of the day. So why are we here? Tell me, Titi, what's your political stand? Like, what do you stand for politically when, as a young person?
I thought of you until I came to UJ. And the one thing I'm very grateful for is my research. The research topic that I chose. It made me realize that just because I have an interest in it doesn't mean I have knowledge in that aspect.
Yeah.
So, where do I stand? I feel like I'm a Pan-Africanist.
Okay.
Nah.
Yeah, well,
I'm a Pan-Africanist.
Yeah.
I'm very much for young people going into politics. I'm very much for open borders. I'm very much for free trade within the African continent. I'm very much digressing away from Western influence and Eastern aspect. Now I feel like it's gonna be Eastern influence.
Definitely.
I feel like it's Eastern influence. So I feel like as long as we can solidify our post-colonial identity, I feel like then we as Africans are gonna be very much on the right track. But I don't foresee it happening in our generation. Sadly,
okay.
I feel like maybe our kids, if we implement things in the right way.
Then you think that we can kind of like achieve that whole thing where we say Africa is one, like a united Africa, basically.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's a thing of I think I was talking to you off the podcast. Like I've been listening to a lot of. Once you start research, guys, it's a rabbit hole, hey?
It's a rabbit hole, guys. You just go in it and go in it and go in it. Like it's and for OTT, he chose I didn't choose a very political topic for my research, because my research is really about the effectiveness of mental health programs in schools. So it's a bit like it's not very political. Do you mind sharing with the people what topic you chose?
So my topic is South Africa's influence or leadership role in SADC post apartheid.
So he's very much in the political landscape of Africa, and just trying to understand the dynamic between South Africa obviously and all the different
basically what I'm researching is what role has South Africa played, right, post apartheid in shaping and influencing SADC as a region, specifically SADC
as a region.
Meaning that, so I've been looking at the Nelson Mandela era, Thabo Mbeki, Zuma, and now the Ramaphosa era.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing the progression, or I want to say digression, that we as South Africa is taking, because, post 1994, South Africa was very influenced that it had, soft power or military power or cosmetic. I like to call it cosmetic because people thought we had the power.
Yeah.
So what we did is that we just implemented that thought into international relations. We helped build SADC, we helped build the AU, we helped put implement what do you call these things, man? Actually, my English is annoying. We helped put structures in place that has shaped SADC in the region now. But however, our political identity as a country somewhat shaped and influenced how we continue to interact within SADC and within other countries. Like the one thing I was looking at was how Thabo Mbeki handle the situation in Zimbabwe, and the quiet diplomacy of how, you know, the clandestine meetings and dark rooms and hush tones. But at the same time, I'm also realizing that when you look into it deeply, it was kind of like he was acting kind of like a shield.
A shield, yeah.
Protecting Mugabe or Zimbabwe from the Western influence, the British in particular. But at the same time, him doing that also then kind of encouraged the human rights violations, because he only, you know, looked at the cream of the crop, the political elites, without talking to the grassroots,
without actually having an understanding of what really the problem is.
No. So my research has been showing me that South Africa, right, when the way we got our independence was very grassroots.
Okay.
So now the thinking behind, or the research behind it, is that Thabo Mbeki thought that the Zimbabwean nation was also similar to South Africa, meaning that they would rise up as society and kind of not overthrow, but, you know, put in things that wanted.
Yes.
However, their social demographic and our social demographic are very different. Right?
They are very different.
Even though we're neighbors, what influences them and what influences us are two different things.
Two different things, definitely. And we're also seeing it just like with everything that is going on in terms of like, you know, our relationship basically with like Zimbabwe and our relationship with like the SADC region, basically. You know what I'm saying? But I want us to move away now from your research and speak more about the landscape of politics in South Africa. You know, and I wanted to hear a bit about what you think on Government of National Unity. You know, what's your take on that? Because obviously, Government of National Unity, there's a lot going on there, of course. And also the other thing that I wanted us to speak about was the whole VAT thing, where the ANC also mentioned that they also went, or they didn't want to increase the VAT. So who actually wanted this VAT thing to increase? So, but let's start first before we move there. What's your take on
the government?
The Government of Unity?
I feel like it's a wake up call to the ANC. Yeah, and I'm saying this because I come.
Are you affiliated with the ANC?
I come from guys, there's no black person.
But you like, I mean,
there's no majority of black households come from ANC background. I feel like
definitely
everyone. Okay.
We were all influenced by the ANC. Of course, they played a huge role in, you know, where we are as a country.
The closer you got to the tree, the more obviously fruits you got to eat. And some of us were just on the outskirts, so we got a taste of what life could be like. So my take on government unity, I feel like it's a wake-up call to one, the government politics, and to the people of South Africa. Right? And there's a quote that always says that if you don't take interest in politics, politics will take interest in you.
Definitely.
I feel like if ANC is not careful,
they will be out of the door.
They will be out of the door, because now the DA is in a very particular position where it's like, if they can implement or show the people what they are capable of doing, the ANC is out. Because now the way I'm looking at it is, I feel like politics in South Africa is a very it's like favoring your favorite soccer team. Yeah. It's instilled within you. Yes. Because your father was Kaizer Chiefs.
I'm also, because my mom was Kaizer Chiefs.
But now I feel like a lot of young people are starting to realize that no, man, these people are only taking care of the few, or they're doing a good job, no, they're doing a job. Let me say that. They're doing
a job. Not a good job, but a job.
Yes. However, they're starting to realize that no, man, ANC is not the only people or the only party that's out there. And it's like, I bet if you now are starting to slack and you're giving your next door neighbor enough chance to actually put a bright
show us that, listen, you know what I mean? This thing can actually be done. But also when it comes to, also the other thing that I'm saying is that when it comes to DA, right, I feel like they're also in a position where they can lose a lot of voters in the next coming election. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Just listen to me for a bit.
No, I'm seeing it. I see it.
But like, just because I feel like there's so many things that are just happening. You know what I'm saying? That actually proves to us that no, man. Actually, if the DA is to come into power, there's a lot of things that might change. You know what I'm trying to say? I feel like good or bad, we can't really be for certain.
If the DA can stick to a consistent message, and actually implement or put black people in strategic positions. I feel like they could.
They could definitely. DA has the capability to actually overthrow the ANC. If we're being honest, just because the middle class sometimes does understand their message, but sometimes I feel like they just lose the plot here and there. They do a lot. They do, guys. They do. They lose.
They need to work. They need to work on their campaigning also.
Really, they do. But we see so many other parties coming into play, like Rise in Zanzi. You know, we see Action SA as well.
MK.
It's controversial.
We have to look at all of them.
But MK is also coming into play. We also see AfriForum. When I catch AfriForum, it's on. I'm joking. But yeah, you know, we're seeing all of these parties actually coming into play, and they're all sending a very firm message. And you know how I feel, guys, man? I mean, personally, I feel like as South Africa, we're moving forward a little bit. Let me tell you why. There is a lot of accountability that is actually taking place.
Sorry.
That's just not you looking at me like that, though. Not you looking at me like that. But I'm just saying that's how I feel. You know, just being on Twitter and reading, and I'm not saying Twitter is like the
no. I get you.
But I'm just saying like
it's like a grassroots movement.
But I can see that they are so, like now, for example, Banyaza Yusufi came out and said that you know, undocumented migrants, whatever, should actually document themselves, or they should leave. You know what I'm trying to say? If somebody doesn't want to document themselves, then they should actually leave. So I feel like we are, I don't know if that's a campaign strategy, because obviously we're voting for local government soon, but like I think we are. And you can also see with this whole thing that happened with the committee, where they were actually holding higher education accountable for hiring a lot of like foreign nationals. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I think is it that the UCT teacher that was a...
No, for her, it was for her. And
they were asking me why would you hire like a foreign national if there's a capable black person
who can actually
and who was a woman.
You know what I'm trying to say? So I feel like we I can see that, and as we see young black people taking up these spaces, or not even black people, but young people taking up these spaces, is kind of like bringing change. I mean, that's how I feel.
Can I take a backward stance?
Okay.
When you say young people, what is the age gap you're looking at?
For me, when I say young people, I'm gonna say honestly 35 to like 45. And I'm sorry, I know that is not. But I'm sorry, like I know that doesn't sound very young, but like that is young in our political landscape and how it is, because most of our politicians are over age 50. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So like for me, young is obviously 35 to 45-ish. You know, I would say that is a bit young, because now these are the people that kind of like grew up in an era where they saw a lot of things happening, and we all want better for South Africa, obviously. Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you know what my take on that is? Man?
Okay.
For you to climb up the political ranks, you need to be indoctrinated, you need to be groomed from a young age. When I say young age, I mean first year of varsity. You have to join your SRCs, and then from there, your Grootmans come now. Maybe you go to a rally. You introduce to one Grootman, you talk nicely, or you say the right thing, he invites you out to a bride, and then he puts you under his wing. But then once they put you strategically, you now have to repay that debt.
Yes.
It's not a thing now.
I think, sorry to cut you short, but I think we need to do away with deployment, number one. So that's the one thing that we need to do away with. But also, I do feel like we are slowly moving into that. I don't know, Titi, do you read a lot? Of like newspapers, or not like literature, not like academic literature, you know, but just being like very much on Twitter, you know, what people are saying, and just like, and also just read like newspapers and all of these things, you know what I'm trying to say, just to kind of like get what's going on. Yes, just not like reading like academic literature and like that's the only thing. You will see what I'm actually talking about. You
know, I'm trying to know, but okay, I'm mostly big on Instagram, and my Instagram is just your Dr. Umar, your Penwell.
You see, you're listening to all of these people that are.
It's a rabbit hole. It's really like once you go in,
it
just sucks you in. But I'm gonna try to read up. But for me, the thing I was saying to you now, it's another thing of the grooming and nepotism.
Yes.
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and they're like, why is it that people complain when it's white collar work? And let's say big law firm, you established it, now your daughter comes and you hire her, you put her in a managerial position.
Yeah.
But when it comes to maybe a catering business, no one complains. I feel like it's a thing that if you cut away nepotism at the top, you need to cut away at the bottom.
At the bottom as well. I feel like, I mean, I understand what you're trying to say. Like, I do get what, but it's such a, what's the right word? It's such a difficult thing to kind of like maneuver or to work around, because it's like, you know, it's like so difficult.
It is difficult, but at the same time,
it needs to be done. I'm not saying it's not supposed to be done. It needs to be done.
It needs to be done. And
it needs to be done.
And I'm very big on, don't hire me because of who I know. Hire me based on what I know.
Yeah.
And it might be a harsh thing to say, but don't forget, I'm not receiving any benefits because who I know, and I don't know a lot of people. So I feel like it's a thing of give everyone a chance to actually earn their spot, and don't give it because you
just
were
because,
born,
like,
you know
okay, TT's father is like a
Brian Mulefe now.
Brian Mulefe. And is your dad Brian Mulefe?
No relation.
I was like, what? Okay.
He's a good guy, but no.
Okay. But yeah, guys. So, you know, and also we just was like, that's true. Like, we need to really like just try to really nip it, you know, in the bud, literally. And so the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, you know, this has been going around. Obviously, we know this. You know, our justice system against women. You know, and then with that, it goes to say like, a boy child is left behind. Do you feel like a boy child is left
in what
behind?
regards?
In all aspects, like in business, for example, in academia, in everything. Do you think that a boy child is actually left behind?
I've got sisters, so this is very hard. Okay, no.
No,
okay.
It's not like you're saying that women shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But we can see that. Not that we can see, but like. People, there's a debate going around of how boy children are actually left behind. There's more women in schools. There's more women, you know.
I will say this. Based on my experience in the past years of just grinding for myself, hustling, whatever.
Yes.
More women are getting employed.
Okay.
More women are given the opportunity. Yeah. More and I'm not saying because they don't deserve it. No.
We're not speaking about merits, whether you deserve or not.
But they are getting.
I
feel like they're getting hired more than guys.
Don't you think? Okay, then we're gonna take it back to merits, basically. Okay. Don't you think that between me and you now?
Sure.
No, we're just making an example, right? Me and you now, we get interviewed, you know, for a position.
Sure. Experience-wise, I think you'd go ahead.
Definitely.
Because you had 5 years working experience.
Yes.
You were abroad. In international relations, I think they'll hire you because now, one, you might have contacts wherever you worked.
Yes.
And you can easily maneuver in whatever country you go to. Yeah, you have that background.
So that's why I'm saying that, are we saying that women are given a chance because they're women, or women...
In the scenarios that I've been exposed to, yes.
Okay, please tell us. Please give us more detail. And let it not be your thought, like generally looking around. Give us a scenario.
A scenario. I was put in a situation where I had an opportunity to job shadow. So in my job shadowing, it was a law firm.
Okay.
But this law firm was black owned, brilliant and pushing his agenda and everything. But majority of the staff were female.
Okay.
Let me just say, let's say you had 15 people working for them. 3 or 4 of them were male. The rest were female.
Were female. Okay.
Yeah.
And why do you think that was the case?
I think the work ethic. He was because I think it's a law firm.
But that's where I want you. Sure. The work ethic of a woman can be different from that of a male. Just because I feel like women.
I think currently now they try to prove that they can do it.
Yes.
So now they
in comparison to men, I feel like men are more. I'm sorry, but I feel like men are more relaxed. I
don't think we're relaxed. I think we're more of a thing of okay, fine. The men that I've been exposed to, they are more of a okay, it's fine. If this door closes, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. I'm gonna go push this other door. Yeah. like in the Daikhan, there's no time to cry.
Yeah.
There's no time. I bet you keep pushing. If you can't sell bread, you sell potatoes. If you can't sell potatoes, you sell maquinas.
Yes.
You know, you find a way. No matter how, you grow brick by brick, and it's a thing where it's harder. But I feel like the hustling aspect of it.
I wanted to get there. I wanted to
more.
get there. I wanted to say the reason why men feel like they're being left behind is because a lot of men are actually encouraged to hustle.
Yeah.
Like the hustle culture is making men feel like they're being left behind. And you find that as women, we're still in academia, we're still pushing academia, we're still doing, you know what I'm trying to say? Why men think like they don't need formal education, they don't need formal anything, they're just gonna start a business, a kawash, and make money.
No, the reason I'm laughing is because there's that Zulu saying, there's a guy who said, I think on Instagram, was like, in grade 2, never.
Yeah, but it's like many men of grade 2 never. So I think that's how like young men recently that they've been brought
But
up.
also
You know?
I feel like, okay, I feel like then that goes back to societal expectations. Yeah. In the dating world, in the family home, in the friendship.
But who created that? It's men, it's patriarchy. Patriarchy created that whole system where it's like all of these things that you're complaining about.
I think
You don't think so?
I think it's a cultural. I think it goes if you go into the nitty-gritty of it now. I feel like then you're gonna have to go back to the hunter gatherers and be like, no, men were hunters.
Okay.
Women were
yes,
gatherers.
we're just you're
There's-
correct.
there's
But like,
no-
but I
there's
feel
no
like
stop at it.
it's always been like that, and even like us now knowing better, like I'm gonna say knowing better, right? But we still kind of like try to emphasize those kind of like
I think it goes
beliefs.
with time. Yeah.
It doesn't go with time because
No, let me explain.
Okay, yeah.
With each era and each generation, there were different skills or groups that people needed to do.
Yeah.
Majority of the areas, men had to work hard jobs, had to be providers and everything. I feel like this generation or this era is shifting towards women now becoming providers, men now starting to maybe become.
But women, no, you know what, Titi? I feel like women have always I'm not gonna say always, like I'm not gonna go back in time with our grandparents and whatever. But like our parents, like our mothers, right? I feel like our mothers were providers. Compared to, I don't want to now give states that are wrong, right?
No.
But from my observations, you know, especially in the hood, for example, like when I look around the hood, I would say that women have always been providers in a household.
Let me say this, from my experience, women are better at providing with what they have.
Okay.
Yeah. Meaning that if you have maize, you put the papa, and dog. Whereas maybe the father will only know how to make pap.
Okay.
Yeah. Women are genuinely
resourceful.
They're resourceful.
Yeah.
They can implement and do things with what they have. I feel like now they're just implementing that on a larger scale.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking away from the progression of women and everything like that. Women are genuinely, I feel like now they have fought and fought for their place, and now they're demanding it instead of asking for it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Definitely, we're taking up
there's nothing
space.
wrong with that.
And I love it for us as women.
I love it for you too.
I love it for us as
if
women.
I could, I'd also be a stay-at-home dad. Give me an allowance.
Present father.
I'd be a present father, man.
Yeah.
But I also want to have my own space to do what I want. Let me ask you. You know, it goes for me. It now triggers something for me. If you from Patrelo or from Faz, never let her help you pay, because then also compose everything is Patrele.
Okay, that's a different but definitely.
I feel like it
kind of like marries to this whole thing.
For me, my household growing up was, my parents always taught me that their money is their money. They can't, even if my dad was earning more, my mom was earning more. My mom would be the finance minister. My dad would be just the bring home money.
Yeah.
She would allocate funds in a way that could
sustain the house
and develop things that I don't think in a way that I feel like she was more business minded than my father was.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So she could make things out of nothing and nothing out of everything. And I feel like women now are just implementing that on a larger scale, like I said before.
Yes.
I don't think that guys are being left behind. I just feel like we just need to pick up our socks and match that energy.
Thank you for saying that. I think a lot of men still think this is the 1900s, you know, where they will be given opportunity based off of the fact that they men.
Yeah, but also that mentality is in the suburbs. Amakaya is different. Amakaya uvuke keeping comments by it. I've never seen a woman of saying.
Okay, I can see what you're saying.
If you wanna be equal, let's be equal on all fronts.
Yeah.
There's things that I do at home that my sisters won't do. There's things my sisters don't do at home that I
But I feel like when it comes to that, when it comes to gender roles, you know what I'm saying? I always feel like there's nothing that I can do that a man can do, to be quite honest. It's just that like there are other things that I would be like, I'm just a girl, you know, I just don't feel like doing it.
You can't do it,
but
you just don't want to do it.
I just don't want to do it
And there's nothing wrong with that.
It instills in me that it's a male role. You understand?
If that follows against.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. No, I get you now. But at the same time, it's like, if you wanna look at it at all aspects of everything, guys, you need to be critical about everything.
Exactly.
Why is it that if you can do it, you don't wanna do it?
But it's just that, see, that's how it has always been. Yeah, I'm gonna man.
No, and if you want to be that, it's fine. Admit to it. Admit to it. We can't do it. I used to look at this lady who was like, "That's been a new queen. That's a new queen. You soft. That's been a new queen. That's you soft. I can do it, but I'm phone." And I got married to a man who had to understand that. But I can change the tire.
When, like, you know, we had this conversation with Prof. Otone, Ulisa. We've had this conversation with her before to say when it comes to gender roles, it's gonna take us back to what you prefer. It's never gonna be a one size fits all. It can never be that. It's gonna be always about what you prefer. Like I prefer umuntu who's gonna take care of me. I prefer whatever. It's always gonna be yes now. Guys, we have to apologize for change of scenery, right? Because we couldn't actually finish filming on the other side, so we decided to actually come here. We're now at the department. It's not really aesthetically pleasing, but you just have to bear with us. Okay, but like in closing, right? We're just gonna speak a bit about African politics. Obviously, the big thing that's happening right now in Burkina Faso, with President Ibrahim Traore. What's your take on that?
I feel like he needs more support from African leaders. Okay. I feel like we need to shelter him and protect what he's trying to do. Right. If I'm not mistaken, I think I was reading up. He stopped a coup attempt from the Ivory Coast. That they believe was
trying to overthrow.
Yeah, but it was supported by the French.
Yes, definitely, because the French is apparently
allegedly. I know they live it.
They're working with Ivory Coast.
The cash cow is gone.
Yeah, the cash cow is actually gone because Traore actually kicked them out. So kicked everybody, kicked out the French. Because they were not actually doing what they were there to do. Because initially. But these are not facts, guys. I'm not sure. But initially, I think they were there because of their...
Let's be honest about it, ne?
Yeah.
Even though colonialism ended, their influence has never left.
Yes. Ne? And a lot of countries, even in South Africa, we still kind of like British, 99.9%. I
don't want to say puppet regimes, but leaders that are heavily influenced and heavily favor the West are installed, right?
Definitely.
So now... that's been the status quo for many years, and I feel like our generation now looks at him as a revolutionary, as a Gaddafi, as a Frelimo, as a Nelson, as a who's this guy from Cuba, man?
I don't know. I'll
tell you now.
But I also know even in Burkina Faso there is a president that was also a revolutionary, but apparently he was assassinated.
All African revolutionaries.
I think his name is Sankara, but I'll just put it down.
All African revolutionaries, they come to mysterious deaths.
Definitely.
They come. They and it's
and even with him, apparently they've wanted to take him out a lot.
I feel like. I can draw a comparison with him always wearing military gear with the president of the Ukraine. Always wearing, because he's in a wartime state.
Yes.
Right? Even though there's no active outgoing, or might be wrong.
There's no war necessarily, but there is obviously because the Islam extremists, those Boko Harams and jihad.
But now I feel like if you're not careful, they might start getting fancy weapons, and I can guarantee you.
But Russia is supporting Burkina Faso. You know what I'm saying? Because Russia said they're standing with Burkina Faso.
No, but you see now that's going to be another problem. Now Burkina Faso is going to become a proxy war now. It's going to be a proxy war state.
Yeah.
Because now Russia's going to be supporting Burkina Faso. The terrorist organizations are going to get support from now France. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot. Guys, let's see how everything unfolds. And this conversation, Titi, we're definitely going to have more of it, you know, because I think we should definitely do part 2 and actually speak about this matter more. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like maybe we should also invite maybe two or three other people also from our class, maybe to just have their perspective. Especially,
I think those people that are writing about the Sahel region, because I know there's 2 people that are writing about the Sahel region. So I think they would kind of like give us a better perspective, because we just like that's not what we're trying to do.
Yeah, most definitely.
So guys, thank you so much for watching our channel. I know it's kind of like abrupt now, but storage reasons, and you know we had. I think
I would just suggest your audience to just be inquisitive, read, ask questions.
Definitely.
The one thing I think we as young people also need to learn is how to identify propaganda.
Definitely. There's a lot of propaganda that's going on, and you know what, guys? In closing, before we close, and this is something that I've realized. A lot of youth doesn't know what's going on in the world. In fact, like world, I'm taking it a bit too far. They don't even know what's going on in South Africa. Like, you know, there was a friend of mine that I wanted to do a podcast with, but she couldn't do it because she just didn't know like anything about anything. She didn't even know what's GNU. And it's not one person, it's actually two people. Because my cousin as well, I asked him like, would you want us to do a podcast? And he was like,
they just see the prices going up. They don't understand why.
And the only thing that we know is that people are unemployed, but we don't know why they're unemployed. Why is the unemployment rate so high? We don't know what's that, and how does it affect you, and how does it affect your job, and how does it affect your transportation. We actually don't know anything about those things, and that's why I feel like these kind of podcasts are very important. And I'm still gonna say it again, like it or not, they are important. Young people speaking about real things that are happening outside
and it affect them.
That actually affect them.
Then it can also be a trickle up event. You don't know what if Ramaphosa is watching us now.
Exactly. Ramaphosa, if you're watching us, we need a job. Thank you.
I need a police blockade. I need a good lights.
We need a job in parliament as young people, representing young people.
We need $10.
We want dollars. We don't want rands and the nairas. We want dollars now. But guys, you know, I had such a great conversation with you, Titi. I feel like this was very informative, you know, and I hope you guys really did enjoy this video. And I'd just like to leave you with a word or two. And Titi has actually said what I wanted to say. Guys, just read, you know. Read. Find out things. Politics is important. It affects you. It affects your life. It affects everything that you do. It affects your decisions, you know. Like right now they wanna regulate podcasts apparently. Because they like
tobacco law.
They just wanna they say that there's too much.
I don't know if it's tobacco because of the hubby. I'm so sorry.
Just leave this bit alone, guys. See you on the other side of town.